Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to today's episode of Real Talk. It's Lucas here, and I hope that today's episode informs and inspires you to have your own real conversations. As always, today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Trivan, maker of trucks, trailers, and enclosure buildings tailored to your needs. Be sure to check them out at trivan.com. A huge thanks to them for sponsoring the show and making it possible. One other quick note before we get into today's episode is that if you are willing and able, if you could leave a review, preferably a 5-star one, on any of the podcast networks or platforms that allow for it, such as Spotify or Apple Podcasts, that will be much appreciated as it helps get the word out there and lets people know what we're all about. So, with that in mind, on to the episode. We're going. All right. Welcome to the Real Talk podcast, people. We're doing a fun little episode here. We're doing a roundup episode, one episode early, but we had the opportunity to do it in person. Elle, my wife, welcome to the podcast, by the way, Elle.
Thank you.
Yeah, there you go. We are out here in Alberta visiting the Vanderwoods, Ty and Kelly. And Kelly is also on the podcast, so welcome, Kel.
Hi.
She has been here once before for long-time listeners, of course. I don't know what episode that was number-wise, but
37.
37, wow.
38.
A dutiful husband.
Dang.
Knows his wife's podcast appearance.
We were going through favorite episodes, so I had to go find
yes,
that
of
one.
course, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wait, that's your favorite because Kelly's on it?
It better be that one.
Dinner was delicious tonight, by the way.
Yeah, thanks.
We're dishing out the compliments. Okay, anyways, so this will be kind of a fun one. It's also kind of a podcast anniversary. We've been doing it for 3 whole years now, so that's kind of cool.
Congratulations.
And also, the
thanks.
most important guest here, our little daughter, Annelise. Say hello, Annie.
Hi.
How's it going?
Breathes into the mic.
She will not go to sleep, so she's been joining us for this episode as well. So
You sit high, then they're going to actually think
Yeah.
it's her. Like, oh, she grew up quick.
wow,
No one will think it's her.
cutest guest award. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, we've been doing the pod for 3 years. We've done 75 episodes. This is 76. And just for some fun stats for people who care about that kind of stuff, we've had 120,000 listens over 3 years, and there's usually about 1,600 or so people tuning into each episode. So it's kind of cool, kind of crazy, a bit humbling, honestly.
A little nuts.
2 schmoes in a garage who had this idea, and
Yep.
RP signed on, and here we are. So
Yep. It's been a blessing for sure.
it's pretty neat, yeah. Okay, so we'll cover these 2 episodes, so episode 74 and 75. I did both of these. So one of them was Reverend William Bugestein on Eschatology.
Sorry, Bugastine?
Bugestein. I nailed that last name. Had to get it right 3 times in a row. If it's wrong, now it's just extra wrong, but I'm 99% sure I'm correct now. So sorry, Pastor, if you listen. And then also episode 75, World Gone Woke, with our pastor in Brantford and Living Water, Pastor Greg Bilsma. So both those were a lot of fun. I think both were honestly pretty good epides overall. People enjoyed them. Good feedback.
Yeah, I agree.
We never have a bad one, so
Toot your own horn there.
I think so. Tyler's kind of sucks. So. Nah, just kidding. But anywho, so yeah, we'll start with eschatology, and we'll go around the horn here. I was sipping her wine glass though. So, you want to give some thoughts on eschatology? What did you enjoy about that episode?
We have been doing like a sermon series on Revelation at our church.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, I don't know, it's kind of interesting just to listen to something else on the end times. But yeah, I hadn't really thought about how, I had thought about how Christians go somewhere in the interim kind of between heaven and like the new earth. But I hadn't thought about what happens to non-Christians in between, death and judgment day. So I thought it was interesting to talk about what happens to people who don't believe in God or in Christ's sacrifice for them, what happens to them kind of in the interim.
Totally. Yeah, there's such a big impact on like how we live today in this whole topic. And yeah, I had not looked into it too much myself before. So it was, reading his book was great. And then getting to talk to him as well I learned a lot too. Any thoughts on that episode there, Kel?
I really liked how they talked about that we still remain with our bodies while we are like in the new heaven, and that like we are spiritual creatures. We have spirits, but yeah, we'll have our own bodies and we'll be working, and it's more like our life here on earth than I think we realize. And that's really neat. We often think of the end times as like angels and more just things that we don't understand, but like it will be like this life, but perfect.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Like the reunifying of body and soul. Like, I don't think we can, I mean, we obviously can't really fully grasp it, but even kind of understand what it means to be outside your body as a soul and then like be reunified with your body and soul, but then in perfection. So it's like it's very interesting, but yeah, like you said, it's not like it's like you're going to be a soul floating around or like something like that. But like, yeah, you talked about there's work to do.
Yeah, we'll have
It's
meaning.
like, it's like you related it
busy.
to paradise or the Garden of Eden.
And the New
Like,
Jerusalem.
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes from a garden to a city. There's development there.
Yeah.
The work we do today matters. Yeah.
Perfect. It's perfect, but it's not like we think about perfect as like complete,
Finished. Yeah.
finished. But it's perfect, but like perfect and also potential, which is really interesting to think about.
Yeah, it's not ending. It's not done.
Yeah.
But the conditions are perfect for
Like you think
future
about
development.
what God did in the Garden of Eden, creating man to praise him forever.
Yeah.
In perfection.
Yeah.
And then man fell, but then we're going to claim that. We're going to get that back.
Yeah.
And to think of like, we don't often think of like where Adam and Eve would have gone otherwise.
Yeah.
But that's what we're going to like kind of experience, right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy. And it's humbling, obviously, like in a huge way. And you can't even wrap your head around like the concept of eternity. Like, yeah, one thing that struck me was you usually think about eternity in like this abstract way. You can't really, I never really thought about like, I think about eternity like, oh, if we do, like we believe in God, we're going to experience heaven eternally or the new Jerusalem eternally.
The good side.
I don't often think like,
And eventually, but
yeah.
it's like as soon as we
like,
die.
and
like,
it's a sure thing, but I didn't often think of like, it's a sure thing that you're going to live forever regardless.
Yeah.
Like,
if you believe
I
or
mean,
not.
that's like kind of scary.
Live forever, die forever sort
Yeah,
of thing.
like-
But yeah.
It's like you are an eternal being. You don't like feel like an eternal being. Like I don't feel like an eternal being, right?
No.
But you are. It's like, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think
it's because you have a beginning. You can't imagine not having an end. Kind of
Yeah.
thing, right?
yeah, everything is so finite on this planet, right? This earth. So yeah. It's also, I think, a cool, like a positive takeaway for me. I learned that was like, okay, so you think about heaven is like the final, like, okay, you go to heaven, you know, you've done well, you join Christ, whatever. And that's great. And heaven is a beautiful place, no doubt. But there'll actually be a place better than heaven when heaven and earth are rejoined in the new earth. And that's, that's exciting as well, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Just something that you can just like literally stare off into
It's cool.
space and think about, right? Like it's just,
And
something that kind of overwhelms you.
yeah, definitely.
I think you did a great job of keeping it short. That episode kind of like, you know, it just leaves you with enough to think about, but not, you know, getting in the weeds and trying to speculate on things. Like
Yeah.
that. It's hard to speculate on, right?
Yeah, definitely.
It's so heady that it's so hard to like make into a concise episode.
Mhm.
and there's so much symbolism too, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to know what
Oh,
to take
yeah.
as symbols and what to
I
take
know,
as
like
actual,
that
like
sermon series
literal.
that we've been doing at our churches like since October, I think. Like it's been a while.
True. Yeah.
We're not
There's
done
a lot
yet.
to unpack there.
Yeah.
It's a big book. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Well, I think we nailed eschatology. That's it for that. On to episode
know
75.
everything.
That's it. Yeah, there's nothing more to know. Now we just got to wait for it to happen. No, we got to keep working. So episode 75, World Gone Woke, talking about woke culture with Pastor Greg. Honestly, for me, this was like a top 5 episode. I really enjoyed doing it. And I think Pastor Greg was a great guest to talk about the subject.
Fantastic. I was jealous that you get to do something like that in person. Like,
Yeah, those are
having
the
that
best.
in person was like,
Yeah.
like just the dynamic of chatting about that kind of topic in person is great.
You guys do that in the office every day anyways, right? You're on the phone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's how this whole thing started.
I
you
know.
So, yeah. Now we just use all of our minutes doing that.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it was, I think, it's such an important issue. It affects everything, but it's from the culture. It affects the church, affects school, how you raise your kids, what you expose them to, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's super relevant for today's world. Any key takeaways? I'll go around again. Elle, you want to give us a couple key takeaways you had from that episode or anything that stood out?
I think just talking about how like there's difference. Well, I guess just when he was talking about how wokeness isn't the only danger.
True.
I thought that was kind of interesting because you kind of expect that episode to be about all the horribleness of wokeness and stuff.
Yeah, which is there.
Which is there. But also how there's kernels of truth in everything. well, not in everything, but in a lot of the things that
How
the
the
left
devil-
is talking about.
And the devil used the little white lies to get people to sign on to
and
it.
it really builds on people's like emotional, empathetic side.
Yep.
So yeah, they're kind of victims to that. But yeah, I don't know. It was a really good episode. I think also probably top 5 for me.
He's very scriptural too, right?
Yeah,
He always brought it back to the
very
Bible.
even keeled. I thought he did a really good job of being biblical and loving at the same time. Which
Mhm.
it's hand in hand.
So you're not leaving his congregation anytime soon.
No.
No, we're planning.
We're
on
okay
that.
with it.
We want him to stick
You're also
around.
too
so-
far
Yeah.
away from any other church. So.
Yeah, out in the boonies. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Just and the thought that God is love. So to try to caveat the Bible and make things seem like better than how the Bible talks about it is not necessary. Like God is love. You cannot be more loving than God. So why try? If God says that, marriage is between a man and a woman, that we don't have to try to make that seem more loving to the world. Like
Mhm.
Right.
if God is love, then that is loving to
Right. Like,
act that out. And
like tolerance isn't more loving.
yeah, tolerance
than
isn't
what
more
the
loving
Bible
because
describes,
we need order and
It's actually less. And
Yeah,
if you let sin
exactly.
go. Yeah.
especially because we want, like in terms of salvation, you can't lie
Yep.
to people and say, oh, I guess it's okay.
Yep.
That's not loving.
But it needs to be done with humility, knowing our own sin, right? Like it's
Yes,
easy, like to point fingers at all this kind of
Totally.
stuff.
Yeah, that was another thing I really liked was that he talked about, we can all day just go around and point fingers at people, but we do things that are just as bad. Like when you talk about sexual temptation,
Right.
like just because we don't have that specific temptation doesn't mean that we don't have any sins at all
Mhm.
in that area. We just have other struggles, but it's easier to think, oh, that's more severe.
Or more obvious.
Yeah.
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 Well, they're
Easier
like
to
pushing
ridicule.
it. Like they're pushing it like they're proud of it, which is, well, they are proud of it.
Well, they are. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a month. Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just came out with that. Yeah. Hopefully all
That's
the
true.
logos are
The
on
holy season.
rainbow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I have some thoughts. You got anything? Or you want me to go?
Yeah, no, I can go. I really liked how he talked about parents quite a bit and like how we can help our kids with it. We have a 4-year-old, so he's definitely not in the like going to school and being like exposed in person to this kind of stuff and talking about it with friends, but definitely like the years go fast and before you know it, like they are. And yeah, like he was just really encouraging with it and how parents should like be on top of it with their kids and how you can't just like send your kids to school or like go to church and expect them to be okay. Like you need to have these hard conversations with them. And yeah, as like uncomfortable or scary as it may be, like you do need to have that and like be open and honest with your kids about struggles
Yeah.
and
The temptations
I think
that are out
every
there.
Yeah,
generation
exactly.
has said that.
Yeah.
I know each
But
generation
you kind
seems
of
to be
have
harder
to make
than
sure
the
nowadays
last.
that
But
you're the first person to talk
Mhm.
to them about it, not
Mhm.
not
Yeah,
them coming to
exactly.
you with questions. Because I think that used to be how people
Mhm.
dealt with it. Like,
Mhm.
oh, whenever my kid comes and asks me, then we'll tell them. Because I think nowadays you actually just have to tell them first.
yeah, you have to start it
Yeah,
and then
just make sure that whatever they're hearing is from a biblical perspective
Mhm.
first.
Yeah, and it
not-
even starts like when he's like, the kids are 4 and 2.
But even now,
and-
like when you go to the library, there are so many
Not even
garbage books
Oh,
out
yeah.
there.
Not even just live. Like the kids are on the internet
Oh, yeah.
at certain times.
Yeah.
they're clicking
Yeah.
at YouTube. They got YouTube open and they're watching
Yeah.
something. And then they're like, that
And
one. And then
even
you're like,
just ads,
You're like,
if you
"What?"
have,
Oh,
it's
ads.
ridiculous
I
how
know.
subtle
Yeah,
a
that's
lot
true,
of these
actually.
things are. Like the kid shows and like Disney's disastrous nowadays, and
Yeah.
and
well, they admit
Netflix,
they're coming for the
yeah.
kids. Like,
Yeah.
they're
they've
proud
said
of
it.
right?
Yeah.
We're here. We're queer. Yeah.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
one,
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. No, one thing like just connected to the whole episode that was kind of ties into that is he said like when we push back in culture, we can't just like we can't push to the point where Christians are allowed to have a voice. Like it's not
Yeah.
like we push until they accept us and that's fine. Like
Because then the other side is so far. The other
they
way
keep
too.
pushing and keep pushing, keep pushing. If they we're supposed to win people for Christ. We're not supposed to just like push until they let us be us. Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Bulldoze
true.
them,
and
yeah.
we're
like we have
so
the
fucked.
truth, so like they fight for what they believe, which is literally insane. But we
Yeah.
should be fighting for what we believe just as hard and just as persistently. Like
Yeah.
That's
we
a
just
good
be
point,
happy
yeah.
to have a seat at the table nowadays.
Yeah.
But
well,
like we should
we're-
actually be.
they can have the month of June, but we want to just like,
As long as we can celebrate
just
Christmas.
don't make me
Yeah.
make my logo rainbow. Like that's the way we think
Yeah.
a lot of
Mhm.
times, right? It's like, leave me alone. That's like, really, we should be like, no, let's like abolish this ideology. Like it's
Yeah.
really like,
You
but
know,
that's again the people like, oh, we want to make sure that they know we love them, and like,
which is, I mean, and then
It's so
even
dangerous.
Christians fall, like it seeps into the church real easy because
totally, you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, so you use their pronouns, or it's just silly.
Yeah.
Or you say your pronouns. I had that in school where we had a class and somebody asked us to introduce ourselves using our names, our pronouns, and then
Oh my.
fun fact or
Yeah.
something like that. So, and I had many Christian classmates that just totally said their pronouns. And I was like, I'm just going to skip that. And my name's Elle, which is French she. So the name's in the pronoun, like pronouns in the name. I ain't doing it.
The parents were thinking ahead.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
But it's just really sad. Like, you shouldn't have to feel like you participate in that.
No, it's true. He did recommend a lot of good resources though for like you
Mhm.
picked up that Mama Bear
Good
book, right?
literature. Yeah.
Yeah, so that would be interesting to check out.
And I think I was thinking back to Kelly's point about being parents.
Yep.
Sorry about the grunty baby. We just obviously became parents. So it's always kind of a thought on my mind, at least, like, oh man, how am I supposed to like teach children all this stuff? Like,
Yeah.
it seems like such a big battle that
Mhm.
parents have to just be super, like, you have to be really informed.
Yeah.
And
You got to
up
be on the
date,
ball.
Like, yeah.
I think I asked him that in the episode and he said it was like, it's probably harder for parents nowadays.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Just
I think
because
so,
it's so
yeah.
in your face, right? Like, I mean,
Oh,
like
yeah.
every generation might say that, but
Well,
like,
and then
100%.
technology
I think
too.
it's gotten
like,
harder through the generations, but the more, like you said, the generational gap is much bigger now
Yes.
because of how
Yeah.
rapidly technology advances things.
Oh it's crazy. I mean, whatever. We've done lots of episodes on that, but like, I don't even know how to download Twitter, to be honest. So like, Twitter or whatever. I have Twitter. I just follow like Tucker Carlson or something.
yeah.
But then like TikTok and all these things, like you just don't. I don't even know what these things like. In 5 years, I won't even know what they're called.
No.
So
Yeah.
like,
Or how to use them.
well, that let alone how to use them.
If you get off social media for like I did that for like Instagram for like 6 months and you just like, you lose a sense of like where the culture is trending,
Yeah.
which is
Oh, for
lovely,
sure.
but
Which is
also
come
like,
back and
But
like
also
all
you
the
feel like you
changes.
missed out on things.
well, yeah,
Missed
there's,
out on the degeneration.
you kind of need to know what's going on to a certain extent
yeah, I know. It's-
Yeah.
to talk to the youths, you know?
The Utes.
The Utes.
Yeah, I do a lot of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, what
All right.
you got? Otherwise, I got some.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, I was talking about the resources. Oh yeah, that's where I was going. The Catechism on Human Sexuality.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
We talked to Chris Gordon a while back.
Yep.
It's going back a couple podcasts for sure. But that's a good resource for parents.
A bunch.
Yeah. But that's
Yeah.
like just work through that. I think that's definitely a good starting point at least. I mean, I don't know if you could do it for a 4-year-old yet, but like whatever. Once they start getting into like mid-grade school and that sort of thing.
Yeah, but they ask
Understand.
like, oh, like Louis a boy, and yeah, it's like just
There's simple
yeah,
stuff
you
in there.
are.
Yeah.
Like you
This is
guys
how
are
God
boys,
created
she's
you.
a girl. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's to start with that. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I like at the end how he was talking about like what to do, like next steps.
Mhm.
And it's very like, we kind of overcomplicate it because we get worried about things. But he kind of just said, well, you just need to keep going and, obey God's word and try to love people, even though you have to be firm on those things, like be
Yep.
loving towards
Mhm.
them. And
You can't just go be a hermit though. Like the Benedict
I know,
Benedict
yeah.
option's not really an option.
and a
like,
lot of Christians get sucked into that a little bit.
but you should shelter your kids, right?
Yeah,
Like he was
yeah.
like pro sheltering, but you need to like let them know what's out there.
Shelter to prepare, he
Shelter.
said.
That's
right?
what he said.
Basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I know. And it's hard. I think it would be very tempting to like fully go off the grid with your family.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm tempted to do that.
Yeah.
Like self-sustaining by cow,
Oh yeah.
But
Get that raw milk.
yeah.
But especially like, get offline. Like that's
Yeah.
a big thing for like.
Yeah.
I know, but then we were just talking about how it's maybe important to be online so you know what kind of dangers
Yeah.
your kids are facing or their peers are facing.
Well, and so that you can make any kind of money, which is hard.
Yeah.
Well, that too.
Otherwise.
But they say your kid's as old as their oldest friend or something like that, right? Like
Yeah.
if they're
Yeah.
friends with somebody that's got an older sibling,
Mhm. Oh,
your kids,
totally. Yeah.
that kid
Right.
knows a lot,
That's always how it goes.
right?
Yeah,
like the
yeah, I
oldest siblings are always the most naive.
influential.
Yeah.
The
That's
oldest
true.
ones.
Yeah, I can.
And
yeah.
naive because we didn't have any
Both, yeah.
siblings that led us astray.
Yeah.
But if you had 5 older siblings, then my youngest sister watched Lord of the Rings at like age 4
Yeah.
and was not scared of the orcs like I was when I was 13 and watched it for the first time.
Fair enough.
Just a little sheltered, yeah.
A little
Yeah, but
shelters. Yeah.
but I can even think of that, like just growing up with friends with older brothers,
Yeah.
right? And then like
Your language, it sounds
yeah.
like them. Like
it's
Yeah,
different.
the things they talk
Older
about around
cousins.
this supper table.
Yeah.
Oh, you even start talking like your cousins.
Yeah.
Or you're like,
Oh, yeah.
100%.
But, yeah, the one thing like that struck me was we think woke, we often just think like the transgender issue. But there's a lot of like the race stuff too.
Yeah.
But really what he like wrapped it up like the nuts and bolts of it was like identity was like is like the kind of the crux of it. Like how do you view yourself in relation? And it's kind of been something that's like been degenerating, it seems like, since we've got like social media.
Yeah.
People used to like present themselves online as whoever they want to be and not actually be that person. And we were all kind of aware that that's a thing. They're like look like they're in Cuba, but they're not in Cuba. Like, like that kind of thing. But then it went from, he described something like when you would ask someone who they are, they would usually tell you like what their job was or stuff like that, which we were always like, well, don't tell them what your job is. Tell them who you are. Right. Like,
Yeah, but
or
that's
tell
a
them
core
you're a
part
Christian,
of what
right?
you do. Yeah.
Well, that was like an external identity. And
Yeah.
now it's gone to be like, who are you? And they start talking about like their sexual orientation, which is like,
the things that
insanely
they've
personal.
decided about themselves.
and their pronouns
Yeah.
that they came up with, because that's how you should think about me, which is like an internalized thing. It goes back to the whole
That's how they
like expressive individualism.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Totally
Steal your
feelings
thunder, right?
based.
But like we've talked about that a lot. Like
Yeah.
it's like you do you attitude, right?
Yep.
But then it's not just like you do you because leave me alone. It's like let me do me and you support me at all costs.
Yeah.
Like that's the attitude now.
Yeah.
And that's something like we just have to like, even the way we talk to our kids, like just think about like, if they have that attitude, that's their world. Like, I mean, obviously like toddlers world, everything revolves around them, but like as they grow up, like you have to be able to give of yourself and have other people like, get along with other people. You can't just expect that people are going to like just
Go
shower
with
you
whatever
with
you
praise
want.
like whenever which is what a lot of like woke movement expects.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
whenever I tell you something about me, you have to be so overwhelmed with joy and praise about my expression of myself. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And talking about, there's absolute truths. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and our culture doesn't really believe that anymore.
It's
like postmodernism just like
Yeah.
took over, and now there's nonsense.
Well, it all starts like if you reject an identity in Christ, right? Then you have to fill the gap. And like historically, the gap's been filled by like your group identity. And if that's your nation, your religion, whatever. And now we're entering this kind of unique, weird time where like it's your individual identity. And
It's
like
narcissism. It's so
religion
bad.
itself.
It's so bad.
It is kind of like that, like group identity just like morphed with
and the internet is a very
internet.
powerful tool to like push
To
that
get
that much
yourself out
further.
there.
Just like
Oh.
create a profile, become who you want to be. Like
Oh, totally. Yeah.
No work involved. Shine like the light were meant to be, right? Like just like
Yeah. I feel like it used to
I
be.
feel like that's a Disney lyric. It's gotta be like from Frozen.
It could
or something.
be, yeah.
That's
like
Abby
that's
Woker
like
than
the
that now.
attitude, right?
Yeah.
It's like they're telling kids like this is you can be like who you want to be. You don't even really need to try.
Yeah.
You're special.
And
You're the princess in
Christians
the story.
tend, you brought up the you do you thing. Like we tend to be like, oh, well, I disagree with that, but like, hey, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah,
it
which
can
goes
be
back to like we
just-
can't just say like it's fine as long as you let me be me over here as a Christian.
Yeah.
Like we have to just like we
No,
have to
there is a
flood
God.
the world with the message, right?
Yeah, there is a God. He has rules, and like this is how he expects you to live. This is how he created you. This is a good way to live, or the only way I should live, I should say. Yeah. Going back to the internet point, though, like what you were saying earlier, it kind of seems like pre-internet, like you had your life, which was like not on the internet. Obviously, there's no internet, and then the internet comes around. You push or you put that identity online, and it's like I have my main identity, and then I'm like, oh, I'm sharing it online. That's fun. Like I remember when Instagram came out, it's like, oh, cool, I can just share stuff. But then like, pretty quickly it becomes like, oh, like you think about what you're going to share, and then you're actually forming a new identity, and then that identity supersedes your real life identity.
Well, it's just that you're curating
if you don't have
what
like
you're
a
sharing
family,
on yourself.
if you don't have like a family and like responsibility, that's like for a lot of people, that's what they do. Like that's what they are, right? And
Well,
so
like,
many.
that happened with like MySpace, like when Facebook came out. That's like literally what it was. It was like
Yeah, I'm not quite.
it was
that
like
old,
rate
but yeah.
your friends online, basically.
Yeah,
So like obviously that's exactly what motivates like
yeah,
this. Like let's recreate ourselves because obviously people are gonna like dislike me otherwise.
yeah,
You look terrible, but you could look not terrible. Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, well, I think
Oh,
any
Annelise
other
is having
thoughts
a
on
time.
the woke episode? Otherwise, we'll go to take a commercial break and we'll come back for our favorite episodes. And we're back. Okay, Annelise has been settled. We can finish the podcast
For now.
for now. Fingers crossed. All right, so we're gonna go through some of our favorite episodes over the last 75. And I think
That's-
you're up first there, Elle.
That's some daddy gymnastics you got going on there. That's
You
some
have to
good
be on
stuff.
YouTube to really appreciate this.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to keep going. Awesome. Okay. I really enjoyed, the Albazine one or Bazuin
Oh,
or
yeah.
however you say
Bazine.
his last name. Well, I think he says it a little differently. I'm not sure.
Bizarre. I don't know. I'm not gonna try.
Anyways, that was a great episode. I really enjoyed the Eric Watkins one. That's more recent. He had a very interesting life. I liked the one that you guys did actually. That I found that really interesting.
Oh, thank you.
And
Aw.
That one's really relevant, actually, too. Like a
Yeah.
lot of
A lot of-
women.
women struggle with that. And
Mhm.
I really appreciated that. And I liked the Justina Van Manen one in a similar vein. I'm kind of
That was like an extension of that one that we did.
yeah.
That was actually some feedback we got that was like that was not
Yeah.
touched on in that book. So then
Yeah.
that was
I'm
really
that's
good follow-up
nice.
of
very
that.
interested for some reason in the IVF, like surrogacy thing. Yeah. It's just something
Yeah.
more recent that I've been a little bit more like convicted about.
Mhm.
But yeah. And that, I mean, hey, if these are among my favorites, that's saying something because I have listened to most episodes, I think.
That's
Only
fair.
I maybe missed a couple since Annelise was born, but
Listen to more than me. That's
yeah.
true.
But you've done most of them. So
Yeah.
Lucas
Fair.
doesn't listen to
you
himself.
did actually
Yeah, I
listen to
hate
them
listening to
at
myself.
a certain point.
That's true.
But yeah, I was landscaping, cutting grass when I started dating Lucas, and I listened to every Real Talk episode.
Which is like, and then you got married somehow. Like,
Well,
it's
I
just
mean,
like,
then I
don't
knew.
know how-
Then I
I
knew.
was committed. I was like, I'm going to make sure this guy knows I like him. So I'm going to listen to every single
Yeah,
podcast
sure. She
episode
wanted
he's
to date you
done.
after hearing some of
She
the
would,
first ones.
she would
It was
listen to
like,
me all day long, and then we'd still call at night for like another 2 hours.
Yeah.
Wow,
It's crazy.
Yeah.
that's so cute.
Young love. Annelise, be quiet. Oh.
Kelly, do you have any favorites?
Okay, full confession. I haven't listened to all of them, not near as many as Elle. I've got 3 little kids, and
Yeah,
to
she's
be
got
honest,
way more kids than I do. So
the
And we were
time-
married
the-
when we started the podcast, so she doesn't
she
need
didn't
to
need,
prove.
yeah, she didn't need to
but the
impress
free
you.
time that I have to listen to something that I actually need to listen to and like glean information from is very slim. And to be honest, if I'm driving somewhere, I'm probably not even gonna listen to anything, not even music,
Listen to
because
Skidamarinky Dink.
the silence is so beautiful. I'm not even gonna listen to anything. That said, I have listened to more than I thought I have, and the ones that I have enjoyed were the ones that you did on COVID, just hearing other people's opinions on it, and just
Oh yeah, those were popular.
yeah, I know, but
Popular and
just
unpopular.
hearing, yeah, like how we are to remain faithful and like to the church
Mhm.
and to meeting together. That is important to me, and that was definitely a time in my life where I felt like I really missed church, and hearing people
Yeah.
say that we needed to go to church was very, like comforting to me. It's like, like we need to do this. I feel good in like going to church and starting up nursery again and things like that. So that was important to me.
Mhm.
But that said, even though I haven't listened to them on the podcast, I have heard, like Ty and I have talked about them, and
Yeah, you should tell you how bad it went. That went horrible.
I was not going to say that, but I've definitely heard like,
How was the podcast? Good.
the spark notes on how things were and
Yeah.
how things went. And Ty and I talk about the issues that they talked about on the podcast. So definitely know, like,
Yeah.
the gist
Kelly and
of
I
it.
are definitely behind a couple of these outlines.
Yeah. No, it's
But-
fun. Like when we started the pod, like when we started having the idea and started talking about all this stuff, that was like whatever, talking with Kel all the time about all sorts of issues. Is like, yeah, you know what? These things don't get talked about by young people. So that's like,
Or from a reformed
Definitely part.
perspective.
Or in a
Yeah.
conversational setting, like on a
Mhm.
podcast. You know,
You could do a lot more in a
Yeah.
podcast, or a lot more. You could do a lot of different things, I would say, in a podcast than a magazine, right?
Yeah.
That was a big impetus for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, it's been a long time already. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It was only
3
3
years.
years ago, eh?
Only.
I,
don't know. I'm
somehow
running a
I thought it
podcast
was
for 3
before
years.
Fisher was born, which is like 4 years ago. We're in a
We
bit.
started having the idea when we were in the garage with the business, which is crazy. Started a business in a
Okay,
garage.
yeah.
Have an idea for a podcast. Be the 700 millionth
And
people
have a
into the
baby.
podcast
That was
space,
because
and yet
that's when
have people
Fisher was
listen.
born when we started the business. So that was definitely a busy 3-4 years ago. Yeah.
That was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. No, my favorites, probably people know, but I enjoy more. I let Lucas take all the, well, not all the cultural stuff, but like Lucas loves the cultural politics
You're more the
side of
church
it.
doctrine
I like
side
the
of
church
it.
doctrine stuff.
It's a good split.
It's yeah. So like my favorites, I mean, the Canarsie URC relations episode we did with Steve Sweats and Dick Winia was one of my favorites for sure. That was a really well received episode, I think, and like got us a lot more
Feedback.
crossover in the denominational world. So that was really cool. I actually learned a lot on that episode. And then there's a lot on like, I enjoy this stuff on like church order, on the psalm singing in church. We've done a lot of stuff on that. Like the church polity kind of stuff kind of intrigues me. Even the synod episode that we did. Who did we even have on?
Arch?
Chris.
Oh, Chris, yeah.
Chris DeBoer.
Oh, yeah, right.
Who was at synod and like just reviewing synod, just to see how that all works. Like as a young guy, you just don't put a lot of thought into that kind of stuff. So having someone explain it to you in a way that's like, interesting, as opposed to reading the Acts of Synod.
Yeah.
I mean, or in addition to reading the Acts
Of
of
course.
Was
Of
it
course.
interesting, Ty?
It was interesting. Yes. Everything I do is interesting. But
That's true. That's true.
the
And those episodes
Yeah.
get like, they might not always be like the most popular, but they're like niche. They have niche popularity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which
yeah,
is
just
kinda
like
changing.
Art Whitten, Chris
Yeah,
DeBoer,
those
they
kinda
listen
things.
to it.
Like the people who
And
listen to it
then-
really
and then
like
me.
it. Yes, and Tyler.
No,
Yes.
I always learn lots about what's going on, and then also about how we actually should deal with things and how we've agreed as denominations. And then obviously the crossover with the URC Canarsie, just to see the different perspectives in the Reformed world is it's just really cool to me to see, because you take a lot of that for granted and when you just go to church every Sunday and you just do what you do and you don't put a lot of mind to, how often do we do Lord's Supper, the baptism stuff. You don't think about church order, like, because you're just doing it, right? Unless you're in council and get confronted with these things. But
Yeah. Oh, I mean, you guys mentioned a lot of good ones. I think of the ones that haven't been touched on yet that I thought were, I like impactful or important. I definitely like the one we did on episode 20 with Maria Alexkievskaya, that whole the Russian lady with all her studies into our community. That was really cool. I don't know. I don't think we're like journalists per se, but like that was like that hadn't been done before.
that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then that report her whole paper came out.
Yeah.
That was pretty neat.
Yeah. So that was a lot of fun. Like I said earlier, I honestly think the woke episode we just did was up there for me. I enjoyed that a lot. I don't know, generally the ones that people care about too. Like I think the COVID conversations we did with Will Baume and Sam Ostroff. I mean, that might be our most popular episode ever.
Controversial.
Actually, I think the first one is with Jason Huskirk on education, which was great because of the
That's because
guest.
people weren't as smart and they listened to the first two.
Yeah, they're like, this sounds interesting. Oh, we're gonna leave. Yeah,
Those are people who never return.
yeah.
No, he was actually a great guest.
Jason.
Heemskirk, that was an awesome topic.
That was a really good episode. I remember listening to it and be like, oh, yeah, maybe.
This Lucas guy.
I will keep listening to all of them.
And it's definitely not because I'm dating one of them.
Yeah.
But the second one I think we did was Andre shooting on COVID. That one was very timely too. I thought
Yeah,
like that was
that's true.
Yeah, I mean COVID ones were all kind of
Yeah, I was gonna say you did one with
yeah.
Aaron Rock too,
Yeah.
and that was also timely.
Oh, yeah, the Aaron Rock one was good. I forgot
one was
about
good.
that.
Yeah. I don't know. I think we just gave people an outlet to like, okay, at least it's being talked about somewhere and
Yeah.
whatnot too, right? So I think people appreciate that.
Yep.
Even if we didn't get it all right. I thought episode 50, the Into the Light one, with John Michael and
that was huge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jake. Yeah, those were good too. And
yeah,
those
they've
guys,
been able to raise a bunch of money. They released the documentary, and
Yeah,
they've-
that's really cool.
they've had some great success, and I think they're keeping on that train too. Like
totally.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, their Instagram, they post quite frequently.
Mm.
Yep.
You should check it out.
I like both the Jim Wittevane episodes too. Those were fun. Well, that's just kind of like a niche one for me. I like doing that.
Well, and
Although
the
people
roundup,
appreciate
yeah.
those actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, they like talking about conspiracy theories and grounding it in scripture somewhat in terms of how to look at these quote unquote conspiracy theories, be a conspiracy realist, as he likes to say. So those are kind of fun too. And then I think the Cantor C URC one is definitely like that's up there, top 3.
Well, you're URC now, so
that's true.
it's like
They
Cantor
flip
C
me. No,
URC.
just kidding.
Just flip.
But if nothing else, hearing you guys talk about these episodes is really making me like actually want to listen to these again.
Oh, that's good.
Oh,
or
that's good.
listen to them and be like,
That's
oh,
what
like
we hope with the
A reluctant
feedback.
listener coming to the fold.
You listened to one of the first 2 episodes.
Great
Right.
choice.
Yeah.
We have the 99 now. The one is
Don't talk Kel into it too much. I'll have to take the kids for like 2 weeks.
No, I should find time to carve out for it.
definitely.
You gotta listen to them
Time
on
is
like
key.
2.5 times speed, and then you'll get lost.
Just listen
I
to the ones
tried
that Lucas
1.75
records.
today and
Speed up the Tyler
it
ones.
was too fast. So 1.5 is what I can do.
You got.
But,
It depends
yeah.
on the speaker, because if they're a quick
True.
speaker, then you can't listen to it too quickly. But
That's true.
Yeah, that's true. That
Yeah,
is your
we've been-
saving grace
yes,
listening
like
to it a little bit
I
faster.
definitely listen to the woke one quickly,
Oh,
2
that's
times
fair.
speed.
Yeah, right before this. Oh,
Yes.
No. It
Way
was
to be
yesterday.
Ah, yes.
I wrote notes.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, but
Hey.
I find like we've been blessed with some like really good speakers. Like I just
Mhm.
yeah.
You've
true.
touched on pretty
Some-
much
yeah.
every major topic, I want to say. Like there's a few like important ones out there that like you haven't
We're getting
quite
there.
nailed down, but
Yeah.
definitely there's been so many good current cultural topics
When
that
we
you've
get them all,
talked
we're
about.
done, right?
Yeah.
It's a 5-year project. No.
It's over.
I'm
Yeah.
excited
Yeah,
to hear
right
some
here.
more stuff about Lord's Supper, honestly. I know you guys are kind of talking about doing more
Mhm.
Mhm.
there, but
Yeah, Lucas gave me like a 380-page book to read.
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
Hey,
I
I
do a
said I
podcast
would
so I don't
read
have
that
to read a
too.
book.
I am trying,
Yeah.
like for
I know.
you.
It's,
So
yeah.
that is-
What's the author? It's called Given for You, but who's the author?
Keith
of that?
Matheson,
Keith
I
Matheson,
believe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lucas and I read that.
It's a big book, very important though.
Yeah,
Like,
it's really
crucial
interesting.
to
Speaking of
Our
highly
salvation.
by R.C. Sproul, but it is deep. So
Speaking
it's,
of,
speaking?
Speaking.
Did I say
Spoken.
speaking?
You
Spoken
did.
of?
You've been speaking for 3 years, buddy. You should know that word.
And there's a nugget for Instagram for Mariah.
There's the clip. Awesome.
real material. Yeah.
Speaking of
real
this
talk,
episode-
real material.
There
yeah.
we go. I like it. Yeah. Real husband. All right. Use yours. All right.
Yeah, we don't edit this stuff out. That's-
No, we don't. No. As people who listen, we'll definitely know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think Annelise is getting a little more fussy here. so
Yeah,
maybe we
I've
should.
got it. Little
screaming child as
Stella
well.
to tend to as well. So
All right. Well, we'll end her there. If you made it this far, thanks so much. We appreciate you listening. And
Every time.
yeah,
been a
keep
fun
going with
3
the good
years.
work, guys.
yeah,
Yep. Apologies for the baby chaos, but
yeah, we do what we can.
yes.
Yeah. We're new
And
at
thanks
this.
for having us on, Elle and Cal.
Yeah,
Yes, Ellen
lots
Cal.
of fun.
We will definitely be a regular
Regular segment.
regular
Appearance.
segment here if you want us to be.
I gotta make another chair in my little
Yes.
studio.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I
Then
was
they
gonna
got to
say,
find a babysitter. It ends up being a whole thing with the podcast.
Otherwise,
then.
there'll be
True.
babies in every podcast. But
True.
Yeah.
It's real life, real talk. There you go. Sweet.
you're welcome for that segue.
Yeah, no problem. All right. Well, the only one other thing I was gonna say is that we should leave a couple reviews. Not us, maybe, but actually, I think I rated it already. But you know,
Did you
everyone
rate
else
our
rated
podcast?
it.
Are you
Yeah.
the 1-star review?
Yeah, I hate it. That was your episode.
Yeah.
No, but if you go on Spotify or Apple, maybe a couple other ones, I'm not sure. I think Apple you can actually leave like a word review. So if you want to like write
I
something
don't know
nice.
about Google. What can you do for
No,
Google?
nothing.
No, Google's
Nothing?
terrible. Yeah, don't use that.
You can
on-
listen.
but on
Hey,
YouTube,
that's
yes.
important. You get
YouTube,
you
leave
get
a comment,
listens.
whatever. Thumbs up, subscribe.
Subscribe.
We plan to keep
Smash that subscribe button.
smash it. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Good youthful term there.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's a
You're-
30-something coming at you.
Yes, you're a youthful member of this team. Okay. Anywho, so
Hey.
yeah, that's about it. We'll keep her going for another, at least 3 years.
Yeah.
Keep going from there.
Keep pushing.
There's always something to talk about, though, right? There's always
Yeah.
issues.
Always something to
Sounds
do.
good.
All right.
Hey,
Okay.
keep having a real talk. Stole your line.
Ciao. Later. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Real Talk. We really appreciate you taking the time to listen or watch the show. If you want to send us your feedback, and we'd love to hear it, please email us at reformedrealtalk@gmail.com. If you want to find us online or social media, we got a lot of great content there. Just search Reformed Real Talk and we should come right up. This show is created and produced by myself, Lucas Holtfluer, and Tyler Vanderwood, and our wonderful podcast manager who does all the editing,
is Mariah Tamiga. So we're really thankful for her contribution to the show as well. That's all for now, folks. Thanks for watching or listening, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.